Infinite Warfare Beta has dropped this weekend, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mystic, and welcome to M&R Entertainment, where today we're going to be doing our first review on Call of Duty Infinite Warfare Beta. So like I just said, the beta dropped this weekend, and so far it's going pretty smoothly in terms of performance, but in terms of reviews and likes, well, that's when things get pretty technical. And ladies and gentlemen, that is also what I'm going to do here today, is I'm going to give my opinion on what I think of the beta as of today, Saturday, October 22nd, 2016. But first, let's watch this little intro cutscene before we continue.
Welcome to the Wolverines. First in the fight. Go give them hell, soldier. Pick a rig.
So like the man said, what we're going to do first is we're going to take a look at the combat rigs. And first up on the list, we have Warfighter. Warfighter is probably the simplest combat rig in my opinion. As you can see here, showing off his or her ability, which is this weird like energy gun. I don't know. The bullets ricochet off of the wall. It doesn't really do that much damage, so don't worry about that, despite, you know, it ricocheting off of walls. I used the ability in multiplayer. I'm going to show a clip of that later. That way you could get a better sense or visual of how that ability works in multiplayer, so don't worry about that. Next up, we have Merc. He's pretty much like the big bad boy of the combat rigs. He has this really cool energy pulse cannon, which is pretty crazy. But don't worry, this isn't really that overpowered either, despite how it looks. I know that looks pretty OP, but it's not. I used this in multiplayer as well. Although it does work as it shows, it doesn't really do that much damage over time. I mean, granted, again, it does get kills, it's not useless, but I'm just saying that it's not necessarily on the verge of OP. Lastly, we have Simnatic, which this guy, he is fast. As you can tell, you know, he's a robot. You practically need a robot in every future typed game. Couldn't really think of how to say, but you know, he's here, so you know, he has two submachine guns on his arms. They're pretty good. They're pretty darn good, honestly. But they're not on the verge of OP, so don't worry about that. So now we're gonna move on to the maps, and yeah, so let's talk about the maps. So first up in the terms of maps for the beta, they actually let us play Terminal in the beta, which is pretty cool. And yeah, it's definitely like Terminal. Only difference is that we're on the moon, which I never thought I'd say that. But anyway, so it's definitely like Terminal. I actually thought I was going to enjoy it very much, but it quickly reminded me why I hated Terminal on Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3, because there was a crap ton of snipers everywhere, just aiming down the hallways and stuff like that. But you know, that's not really the map's fault in some cases. I mean, it is very inviting to that, but it actually comes down to the person who decides to do that. But anyway, but speaking of snipers, snipers in the beta are OP as hell. If there's an OP weapon in the beta, it's got to be the sniper, specifically the longbow, as you see right here. It's a one-shot kill to pretty much any part of the body. As you see there, that was a chest shot, and it was a one-shot kill. And granted, that was pretty close, but I have been killed pretty much across the map by that sniper in one shot, just, you know, not really mattering where I got shot on my body. So hopefully they nerf the snipers just a little bit in the final game, just to the point to where it isn't a one-shot kill. A two-shot kill would be fine. One-shot headshot will work. I mean, that one-shot headshot always makes sense, but you know, one-shot body shot in an arcade shooter like this, and you're going to be making a lot of people mad. Trust me. But anyway, back to the map. I got seriously sidetracked there. Back to the map. The map's pretty good. It looks nice. It definitely looks nice, but that's, I mean, that's to be expected considering that it's, you know, remake and it's on a better system, you know. So definitely looks nice, works nice, and yeah, the map, you know, everybody who played this map in Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3 knows the size. It's a decently sized map, you know. You could do pretty much anything in terms of, you know, running, gunning with SMGs to mid-range fights with ARs to, like I said, freaking cross-map snipers. So next up on our map list, we have Precinct. This is map number 2 of the beta, and this map is very small. Granted, it does work very well though. Now this map arguably has 3 to 4 lanes. Yeah, 3 to 4 lanes. So there's definitely a lot of places you could go on this map. This map, as you can tell, since it's rather small, it's mostly a run and gun SMG kind of map, although you will see very soon that people literally took their chances with snipers and actually did rather well. I don't know, the snipers are just really OP in the beta. You see them everywhere, which, I mean, kind of makes sense with all the quickscopers and stuff that they have in Call of Duty, but it just gets pretty annoying rather quickly. So the last map on our list is named Throwback, and as you can tell, it's a throwback to a map on a previous Call of Duty. This Call of Duty was Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. Unfortunately, I do not remember the map name, but when I do, I will type it on the screen for you guys. That way we can be all on the same page in terms of what map this is a remaster of. So anyway, so considering that it's a remaster, of course it looks better and it has a different theme in some cases. It's practically the same map and it plays rather well. Now this is a pretty medium-sized map. It's pretty much like Terminal in a way. You know, you have your abilities to just run and gun with SMGs. You can also like mid-range firefight with ARs, and you can also snipe on this map. So it's a pretty well-balanced map in terms of what you can do. Okay, so now that we're nearing the end of the video, what I'm going to do is like I said in the beginning of the video, we're going to bring back the combat rigs. That way I can show you their abilities in multiplayer. That way you guys can get a better visual or a better sense of which one you think will fit your style more when you play the beta or when you play Infinite Warfare when it comes out November 4th, 2016. So first up, what we're going to do is we're going to show Simnatic. Actually, we're going to go a little bit out of order. We're going to bring him out first. If you do not remember, he is the one with the SMGs attached to his arm. Also, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show the cutscene before each one. That way you guys can again refreshen up on what their ability is and what they look like. So first up, we have Simnatic. So quick little disclaimer, like I said, I'm pretty rusty at Call of Duty. I'm not as good as I used to be, so I didn't really go on very long streaks with these abilities. But basically, I'm just going to sum them up very quickly. Simnatic, submachine guns, extremely fast. He's all about the run and gun action. So if you're really good with running and gunning, Simnatic's probably the best one for you. Granted, you can't do too much work with it because, you know, every ability is timed. Also, I believe he has limited ammo, as you can see on the bottom right. So I died right there, and that's the end of Simnatic. Next up, we have Warfighter. Warfighter is the one with the energy gun, as you see here. It doesn't really do that much damage, but the ricocheting bullets does give it a huge advantage. Warfighter is pretty much your standard infantryman. He's pretty much like mid-range firing and stuff like that. The gun has extremely fast fire rate, but because of that, it has a pretty high recoil rate. As you can see here, you know, the gun just jumps up. Now here, I could have took advantage with the ricocheting bullets, but I stopped firing because I thought there was only one person, but there was really two. But anyway, last but not least, we have Merc. Merc is that heavy, slow, but tanky character. He has, as you can see, he has that very overpowered looking weapon, but it's really not. Unfortunately, I had the least amount of time with him because, you know, I just wasn't that good and I couldn't really use his weapon. But as you can see here, you know, he is pretty slow. You can easily tell. His weapon does do very good damage, though. I'm not sure, though, if it does, like, split up like it shows in the clip, because as you see there, I didn't have the opportunity to see that, because freaking FaZe member over here was pretty much ruining everybody's day with that sniper. Anyway, so now that we've reached the end of this video, basically now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give my ratings or my opinions of this game so far in its beta form. So far, first off, we're going to start off with the maps. Now, obviously, two of the maps, if not all of the maps, are remakes of old maps, which, of course, considering that they're remakes of old maps, you know, they're going to be pretty good, hopefully. You know, it's really just going to be the visuals that are better. Which, in that case, you know, I guess I'll give the maps a 7 out of 10, because, of course, they ran smoothly, although they did lack, you know, freshness, because, you know, they're remakes of old maps, but then again, it's the beta. They're probably just hiding all of their actual new maps because, you know, they want it to be in the debut of the game. Anyway, moving on from that. Next up, we're going to talk about the abilities, since we're literally standing next to them in the cutscene. The abilities are okay. I mean, granted, I'm not a fan of the whole Advanced Warfare era that Call of Duty's been doing. Granted, I understand that Call of Duty was more than likely already in the making of this game when people started getting tired of the Advanced Warfare era. A lot of people are saying that this is going to be Call of Duty's last Advanced Warfare era game, which I hope it is, because I would really love to see Call of Duty go back to the good old days where all of this crazy BS abilities and stuff like that, you know, go away. But anyway, besides the point, you know, in terms of how they work and, you know, how they perform, I guess I'll give them, I'd say, a 6.5. I don't know. I just really don't really care about, you know, the whole abilities thing. It's useless. I mean, if anything, it's something else to remember and keep on your mind and while you're playing, and I don't really care. I'm a very simple guy. I'm just the guy who likes to just go in the game, play, not have to worry about charging up abilities and freaking looking at people jumping all over the place trying to kill them with all these high-tech alien weapons. I don't really care about that. But granted, you know, they weren't OP, they weren't, you know, that crazy in essence. So that's why I'd give it about a 6.5 actually. Yeah, I'll give it a 6.5. But anyway, so next up, the weapons. Now, the weapons is where things get a bit all over the place. The weapons were very unbalanced in my opinion. I mean, pretty much the only weapon that I saw the entire time was the NV4, which was pretty much the replica of the M4, which I understand why. The NV4 literally killed in a quarter to half of a magazine, which in terms of Call of Duty that specifies in small maps and fast movement, you need to kill pretty fast. And I was using the SMGs, and I was literally using an entire magazine just to kill. Which granted, you know, maybe I just suck with SMGs, and maybe I'm just better with ARs. But honestly, I think it's the gun. I don't think it has enough power to kill, you know, enough people in enough time. I mean, like I said, Call of Duty specifies in small maps and fast movement, so more than likely half the time you're going to run into more than one person. And if you can't even kill one, well then you're more than screwed. Now, the top two guns in the beta were the NV4 and the longbow sniper rifle, and the longbow sniper rifle was just a nightmare. It was a one-shot kill on any part of your body from any part of the map, so I would definitely like to see that gun nerfed. Now, Call of Duty, they are pretty good at balancing their weapons over time, but considering that we're talking about the beta and only the beta, I would have to give the guns a 5 out of 10. They just need some work. Now, the game as a whole, you know, despite everything that we've talked about, the guns, the combat rigs, the maps, the movement, you know, I'd probably give the game, I'd say a 7 out of 10. And this is why. The movement, like I said, you know, a while back, or if at all, I may have forgotten. It's not that bad. A lot of people don't like it because they say it's like Ghost, but honestly, I didn't have a problem with Ghost. I thought Ghost was a relatively good game. Although the campaign, the ending of the campaign, it sucked. The worst ending ever. But anyway, I was okay with the Ghost movement. I like the movement. The combat rigs, they're pretty well balanced. They're not really OP. Granted, if someone no-lifes them, then they probably will be OP. But to an average player, it's pretty good. The guns is really the only problem I had. The guns are kind of all over the place in terms of power. And I think they all need a little bit of fixing. Granted, you know, Call of Duty is good at doing that, so I wouldn't be surprised if they work rather well on the release of this game. So I'm not really too worried about that, but in terms of the beta, I'd say they're trash. Now, the maps, even though 2 of them that they give you are remakes, you know, the maps are still pretty good. You know, they have good movement, they have good lanes and stuff like that. Practically all your traditional map stuff that everybody looks forward to. They're good. So that's why I would give the game a 7 out of 10. Now, granted, we're missing the campaign, but of course they wouldn't let you play the campaign in the beta. But so far, the campaign's actually looking kind of cool. So that is finally the end of this review. That is all my thoughts and everything that I think about Infinite Warfare. So if you enjoyed, please make sure to leave a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe for more reviews because this channel is definitely going to be doing a lot more reviews very soon. Lastly, leave a comment of what you think and what you thought about Call of Duty Infinite Warfare and what you thought about this review. If you think everything I said is understandable, or if you think that I'm an idiot and some of the things that I said don't really match up. But with all that being said, my name is Mystic, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.